Hi everyone, I'm a recipient of this SAP scholarship. I'm a JC2 student this year, studying River Valley High School. About this scholarship, this BSP scholarship, the BSP stands for Bicultural Studies Program, and it's for students studying in SAP schools which offer China studies. It's a subject. It's meant to preserve nowadays a lot of people in Singapore cannot speak their mother tongue well. So it's meant to preserve these talents, versatile in both Chinese and English. And it's closely tied to this curriculum called the BSP, which is a Bicultural Studies Program. And the BI stands for the BI stands for uh, Singapore-America relationship, Singapore-ASEAN relationship, and Singapore-China relationship. So it's actually more than a buy, lah. But the main piece and the centerpiece of this scholarship is still very much focused on the Chinese language. So why I decided to take up this scholarship? This scholarship allows you to have a very deep understanding of foreign affairs, economics, society, and politics. But we study this thing called the China Studies in Chinese subject in JC2, where we get to have a deep dive into uh, the foreign affairs, economic, society, and politics of China. So in the process, we also get to know more about these four aspects of other societies, not only in China. We also learn about America and Europe. And nowadays, actually, more of the curriculum is centered towards ASEAN also, because ASEAN is growing very fast. It's a growth region. And so the other reason why I decided to take up this scholarship was because we got to collaborate a lot with students from other schools. And uh, I think the most important one for me was the opportunity to have this kind of real world opportunities with Business China and um, ASEAN Business Youth Association, which is another association which gives us opportunities to experience what is it like for the economics of ASEAN and China as a whole. And the fun one is to travel, but now we cannot travel So I'll share more later about the traveling part. So scholarship requirements and the application process, you have to have decent grades, not too bad, and then you have to be able to speak Mandarin. So how it works is that we first get the email then you fill up an application form, and then you have to have your teacher writing a recommendation for you And for the application form, actually, you don't have to write an essay, but you have to write a bit about yourself Then there's only one stage of interview, and I would say that for this scholarship, actually, the interview stage is the most important, because I have friends whose grades may not be so outstanding as other applicants but if you show a genuine interest in the culture, or and any one of the aspects of foreign affairs, economics, or this kind of thing, then if you show a genuine interest and you are able to demonstrate that you have the aptitude for this scholarship, actually they'll allow you they'll take you on as a scholarship holder even though your results may not be that good. So actually the interview process is very important. So in the interview process, actually what they asked me was about China-American relationship. So nowadays the US and China are fighting very heavily But so I think more of the interview will be asking you about your opinion towards these matters, instead of simply asking you about the issue itself. So, for example, if you talk about the American-US relation, instead of just centering around what is happening, they will ask you questions like, where do you think Singapore should stand as a small country with significant trading ties with both countries, something like that. And another question they asked me was pertaining to Chinese culture, and then the Chinese culture one is just about the history of China but that one's not so important. I think the more important one is to know about current affairs pertaining to the big nations in the big countries in the world today: Russia, China, America. and especially ASEAN. I heard these days a lot of questions regarding ASEAN. Yeah, so the number of interviewers range from 2 to 3. So the responsibilities and workload of the scholarship. Your workload is going to be heavier than your peers. This one is a given because under this scholarship we have two requirements lah. First, I said just now that we have to take CSC, China Studies in Chinese, at the end of JC. My friend in Raffles actually got to take China Studies in English lah, but I think only Raffles offers China Studies in English, and most of the centers which offer this scholarship actually requires you to take CSC lah. So you have to have be good in Chinese lah. Then the workload is certainly heavier because you have two research papers you have to write. The first research paper will be at the end of your secondary school life. So at the end of Sec 4, you actually have to write one research paper to submit to MOE. And this research paper will be passed on to professors from NTU and NUS, and they will grade our research papers lah. And at the end, if your research paper is good enough, you'll be featured on a symposium in a symposium. So you'll be able to share your research findings with your juniors and peers lah, under this scholarship. So so students who take this scholarship are able to attend a symposium to know more about the various topics lah. For me, my research paper was on the digital economy. So the digital economy, my research was centered in Singapore lah, about the progress of Singapore's digital economy, our central bank allowing for the digital banking license, etc. So the research paper is going to be very heavy, and the good thing is you have your teachers to guide you through, and you have your friends to do it together, suffer through it together, and but the bad thing is it really takes off your holidays lah. So it depends lah. And the research paper is in Chinese, by the way. So yeah, you have to have that level of Chinese, and then you have to complete an independent research paper at the end of your JC life also. So one research paper in secondary school and one research paper in JC lah. The JC one will be graded as part of your A-level examinations. And then responsibility will be travel. Okay, so about the travel part, the traveling in under this scholarship is very, very interesting. So under this scholarship, we actually get to travel to China. That's definitely lah. Then we also get to travel to US once in the 3 years or 4 years that we get this scholarship, and then we get to travel to ASEAN too. So for my school, actually went to China in Sec 3. Then Sec 4 Sec 4 we have to Sec 4 I got to travel to China and ASEAN. So I went to Vietnam. That was super interesting. So what happened was it was during the December holidays. We went to China for 2 weeks, and then we came back to Singapore, and then 1 day later we traveled to Vietnam. So the travel workload is going to be heavy because you have to when we travel, we actually go to schools, go to big corporations. Like in Vietnam, we went to this conglomerate called Vin, right? It's a Vietnam conglomerate lah, which allows you to, a Vietnam conglomerate which produces basically everything in Vietnam. They're very big lah. So we got to learn from them, and of course you have to write. You have to submit papers lah at the end of your trip for reflection and also for MOE to see lah. And then plenty of events. So earlier I mentioned about being able to collaborate with many students from other schools. I think this is one of the main plus of this scholarship, because it allows you to really interact with students from, so under there's this thing called the BSP camp, where we get to interact with, I'm from RV Library Valley, and I got to interact with people from Hwa Chong, Dunman, Cat High, and even people from Raffles. So I think and we got to pick the brains of like industry professionals, of people in the economics, people in doing economics, people doing political science, professionals in their industry, and we plan events lah. So for my school particularly, we also have translation classes for for the BSP scholars lah. So yes, the responsibility and workloads are going to be definitely heavier than your peers. So pros and cons. Pros are opportunity to collaborate with students from other schools, opportunity to travel, and then you have very good leadership opportunities lah. If I may add one more, actually, it was through this scholarship that I got invited to Business China and ASEAN Business Youth Association. So these are all organizations that allow you to meet a lot of professionals in the industry and to really, I think, get to have a head start in front of your peers to really understand the industries you are interested in. So for me, I'm interested in consulting in that industry. So I got to meet people from the Big Four, Deloitte, PwC, etc. So the cons is the Chinese is going to be draining. If your Chinese is not good, then yeah. So I mean, for me, my Chinese wasn't very good when I started taking the scholarship, but I think you have to have the grit to really learn and read more, and then slowly your Chinese will improve lah. Then yeah, the workload is very heavy. What type of student would be good for the scholarship? I mean, for all the scholarships, you have to have that level of discipline and so I mean to be able to keep up with the workload lah. So I think discipline is universal lah, not only for this scholarship but for every scholarship. The other requirement would be to be good in Chinese because you have to take CSC, which is Chinese based, fully Chinese based, and you have to read a lot of articles that perhaps you wouldn't be you wouldn't read in your free time that you have to read because of the subject itself, CSC. So you have to be either good at Chinese or be willing to learn it like me. Yeah. So curious about learning new stuff. So earlier on I mentioned about the four aspects of the scholarship. We have politics, economics, society, and foreign affairs. I wasn't really interested in the societal aspect. So society, we learn things like an aging population. We learn things about how the digital age has spurred economy and societal progress in China and America, such stuff. So actually, I wasn't really interested, but you still have to be willing to and curious to learn about all this kind of thing. But the other three were great. It was really up my alley. So I was quite interested in the other three, which was economics, politics, and foreign affairs. And you have to be comfortable working with others during the joint events. So MOE always organize events for students from all the recipient schools to be able to come together to share stuff and to learn from each other. And if you love to travel, this would be a good fit. Unfortunately, you can't travel now, but I hope the travel resumes. Thanks.